Welcome in, everybody. We are talking receivers. It's week 14 on OwnersBox. NFL season is winding down. We can hardly believe it's almost over. But if you haven't played OwnersBox yet, best place to play daily fantasy sports. You do not have to draft a defense. You don't have to draft a stupid kicker. It's super flex. You could draft 2 quarterbacks if you wanted. You could draft Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold if you wanted to. You could take both the boys. If you haven't tried it yet, use the code in our description. Use code MENLY when you sign up, and they will match your deposit up to $500. That's $500 to play free fantasy football. It's as good as it gets. But let's jump right into it. Soda's going to start us off with our honorable mention. Soda, what do you got?
First off, I just want to make sure the listeners are aware we're not recommending taking Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield in your lineup. But the advice we are about to give you, if you would have listened to us last week, you would have had one heck of a week because our top 5 receivers, I think everyone might have scored a touchdown or broke 100 yards. It was elite. But honorable mention this week, I really like Jared Jeudy, but Adam said absolutely not to any Broncos offensive player ever, which is understandable. But I can see a big week. Cortland Sutton's out. Cortland Sutton is out. Also, honorable mention, who's just been phenomenal all year, Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson has been a good play. Went off against the Vikes last week. We'll see if we have another receiver going against the Vikes. It seems like we have one every single week, so we'll see. But we're going to start off with number 5, and that is the always trustworthy Tyler Lockett of Seattle. Seattle is battling for a playoff spot. They're going against Carolina, who is not a very good football team. Tyler Lockett, 12 targets, 9 receptions last week. Soda, what do you think about Tyler Lockett?
Man, Geno Smith just continues to impress me with the way he's throwing the ball. We're not quite sure what the running back situation is for the Seahawks this week. So chances are there's going to be more passing involved, and Tyler Lockett has been good. That's 5 weeks in a row he's had a touchdown. I like to see that.
Yep. Kenneth Walker, currently listed as questionable. We got DJ Dallas and Travis Homer. Obviously, they're in the backfield, but don't think we should have any problem getting Tyler Lockett involved in the offense this week, and that is why he is number 5 at only 6,100 over on OwnersBox. Moving on to number 4, guy who was not on the slate last week. He was playing Monday Night Football. He's still catching balls from the GOAT. They're playing against San Francisco, who recently lost their quarterback. Tampa Bay still got theirs. Chris Godwin is 6,300. Soda, what are your thoughts on Chris Godwin?
This might be an ugly, low-scoring game, but the targets are going to be there for Chris Godwin. My, oh my, 13 targets last week, 13 the week before. I would expect heavy volume from him again.
Yeah, two good defenses going against each other, both really, really good run defenses, both in the top 5. I'm guessing Brady's going to have to get the ball out pretty quick with Bosa chasing after him. I think Chris Godwin's going to benefit from that. We might see a lot of slants, some quick hitters to Godwin, a lot of targets. You love to see this all in the green here. 10, 11, 13, 12 targets. The guy's getting plenty of targets. He's getting a lot more work than Evans. Evans was out a lot on that last drive against the Saints, which nobody loves to see, but Chris Godwin is going to be the guy. So Chris Godwin's our number 4 receiver. That brings us to number 3. Like we say every week, we're not picking the 5 best receivers. We're looking at prices, we're looking at matchups, and we're seeing who the best plays are to set you guys apart in tournament lineups. And that is why number 3 is Deontay Johnson going against Baltimore for 5,300. So what do you think about Deontay Johnson?
Well, to say he's underperformed this year for what we thought he was going to be for a fantasy player is definitely a true statement, but he's getting a lot of targets. I just feel like a big game is coming for him, and George Pickens is a bum, so really Deontay Johnson is their primary target.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson has been super frustrating for me. I have him on my fantasy team, and it's just every game you see this large number of targets. He's getting plenty of targets, plenty of looks, but the receptions are just not there. I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched a ton of Steelers football, so I don't know if Kenny Pickett is just missing him. He's thrown into tight coverage. Maybe Deontay Johnson isn't getting quite the separation he needs to. But with all these targets, he is due for a big game. He doesn't have a touchdown yet, which is just insane to me. I think I guaranteed a touchdown last week, but I'm doubling down. I'm guaranteeing one this week. Deontay Johnson needs a touchdown, and that is why he's our number 3. What's up?
How about a touchdown and 100 yards? He hasn't done either of those this year. Let's get them both this week.
Yeah, both in 1 week. Big game. Big game going against Baltimore, division rival. That'd be a nice upset, especially with Lamar Jackson out. We love Deontay Johnson this week, and he is at number 3. Number 2, we told you we were going to have one, and that is Amon-Ra St. Brown going against the Vikings. Minnesota's secondary is poo-poo. They are not good. They made Mike White look like a top-tier Hall of Fame quarterback out there. He threw for 300 yards like it was nothing. Garrett Wilson had a day. And we expect Amon-Ra St. Brown to do the same because he's been doing it to everybody. Soto, what do you think about Amon-Ra this week?
I don't know if you have any numbers on where he's at, like fantasy points per game compared to the rest of the receivers, but just from like the eye test and seeing his numbers on a weekly basis, he's got to be a top 5 fantasy receiver all year. He's been doing it week in, week out. You can take that 3-4 week stretch there where he was battling injuries, not fully healthy, just throw that to the side. But other than that, I mean, he's getting double-digit targets, breaking 100 yards a lot, scoring tutties. He's just doing it all.
Yeah, this Lions offense is really, really good when they have everyone healthy, and I think we kind of saw it last week against Jacksonville. Looked like DeAndre Swift was fully back, Amon-Ra was back, and the Lions offense is good, and they're actually favored at home against the 10-2 Vikings. And we think if they are going to win that game, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be a huge part of it. And that brings us to number 1. And we must think this game is going to be a shootout because our number 1 receiver this week is Justin Jefferson going against the Lions. He's $7,200 on OwnersBox. He's the most expensive receiver, but for good reason. This guy has been a beast all year. Soto, what do you think about Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, it's the highest point total on the slate. So like you said, we are expecting a shootout. I do not expect a lot of defense to be played. I do not expect the corners to be able to guard these receivers. Honestly, I'd like to see Jettis break 200 yards this week and put up just crazy numbers.
Something to keep in mind, though. You look at all of Jefferson's games here. He's had a lot of good games, and there's one that stands out right down here. Last time he went against the Lions, he had 6 targets for 3 receptions and 14 yards, but me and Soda have him at our number 1 receiver this week, so we're expecting him to bounce back and just annihilate the Lions defense. So to recap, at number 5, we had Tyler Lockett. Number 4, Chris Godwin. Number 3, Deontay Johnson. And for our top 2, we were staying in the Minnesota-Detroit game. And number 2, we had Amon-Ra St. Brown. And number 1, Justin Jefferson. Hope everyone has a great week on OwnersBox. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube for all this great OwnersBox advice. And stay manly, everybody.